Halloween 4 wasn't just a sequel. It was the resurrection of pure terror. 10 years of silence colliding with a desperate gamble to bring the shape back. Quiet streets, fake pumpkins, and a pale mask haunted Haddonfield once more. But behind the scenes, chaos ruled. A script written in days, Jamie Lee Curtis walking away, and a mask that looked disturbingly wrong. These are 10 creepiest facts about Halloween 4. The return of Michael Myers. And the most chilling part, the story nearly passed Michael's evil onto a child. Number 1. The mask that looked wrong. Michael Myers didn't just return in Halloween 4, he returned with the wrong face. Fans were stunned when his mask looked cheap and lifeless, more like a store-bought knockoff than the chilling blank stare from the first 2 films. The truth, the production couldn't track down the original William Shatner mask, so they grabbed a new one straight off a Halloween store shelf. To make Michael look more menacing, stuntman George P. Wilbur even wore hockey pads under his costume. But instead of terrifying, the mask left audiences whispering, "Why does Michael look so off?" Number 2. The 11-day script. The story of Halloween 4 didn't take months of planning, it was written in just 11 days. Screenwriter Alan B. McElroy had to beat a looming writer's strike, so he locked himself in and churned out the script almost overnight. His solution was bold. Michael wakes from a decade-long coma, and this time he's hunting Laurie Strode's daughter, Jamie. The original ending even had an entire house burned down, but it was scrapped for budget reasons. The rushed process paid off, but it left fans wondering, did Michael's nightmare really grow stronger, or was it just slapped together in panic? Number 3. Jamie Lee Curtis said no. Producers wanted Jamie Lee Curtis back to anchor the sequel, but she refused. By then, she'd moved on to bigger roles and didn't want to return to horror, so Laurie Strode was written out, her fate explained away with a car accident. That left the story to focus on Laurie's daughter, Jamie Lloyd, played by Danielle Harris. The casting almost went in a very different direction. Melissa Joan Hart, later famous for Sabrina the Teenage Witch, auditioned for the role but didn't make the cut. Instead, a 9-year-old Harris carried the franchise on her small shoulders, and fans embraced her instantly. Number 4. A ghost story rejected. Before Michael's bloody return, John Carpenter pitched something very different for Halloween 4. His vision was a supernatural ghost story. Haddonfield bans Halloween after the killings, and the town's obsession with Michael Myers becomes so strong that it conjures him back like a phantom. Producer Mustafa Akkad hated the idea. He wanted something simpler, Michael as flesh and blood, stalking again. Carpenter walked away, sold his stake, and never returned to the franchise. Fans never got to see the Phantom Myers, but the thought of Michael rising like a ghost from memory is almost scarier than the sequel we got. Number 5. Cannon Films almost owned it. Believe it or not, Halloween 4 almost ended up in the hands of Cannon Films, the studio famous for wild, low-budget cult movies like Masters of the Universe and Superman 4. After the disappointment of Halloween 3, Unfor Saw lost interest in the franchise. For a brief moment, Michael Myers was on track to become part of Cannon's chaotic catalog, but when John Carpenter and Deborah Hill sold their stakes, the deal collapsed. Instead, the film landed back with Compass International, the company that launched the original Halloween. Just imagine if The Shape had been unleashed as a Cannon Films B-movie. Number 6. Salt Lake City disguise. On screen, Haddonfield still looked like small-town Illinois. In reality, it was Salt Lake City, Utah. The film was shot in March, nowhere near Halloween, so the crew had to scatter fake leaves and even paint squash orange to pass them off as pumpkins. The cold Utah air gave the movie a sharper, more isolated vibe, making the town feel eerily lifeless. Between takes, stuntman George P. Wilbur would pull off his mask to reassure young Danielle Harris it was all make-believe. On screen, he was the Shape, but off-camera, he was the gentle giant keeping her calm. Number 7. Novelization with a twist. Like many slashers of the 80s, Halloween 4 got a novelization. Author Nicholas Grabowski was handed the script, and only a month to finish. The book added small details that never appeared in the film, expanding Michael's shadow even further. Years later, it was reissued in special and ultimate editions, turning what was supposed to be a quick cash-in into a cult piece of horror memorabilia. For some fans, the novel became the version that truly fleshed out the return of Michael Myers, even more than the movie itself. Number 8. Michael Myers Rebuilt. Michael Myers didn't just walk back on screen, he was rebuilt. Stuntman George P. Wilbur bulked himself up with hockey pads under his costume to make the shape look more imposing. The result was a heavier, slower Michael towering over his victims like a walking wall of violence. Fans debated whether this version was scarier or just clumsier. But there's no doubt Wilbur gave the role raw physical presence. It marked the first time a stuntman would return to play Michael in more than one film, cementing Wilbur as one of the definitive shapes of the franchise. Number 9. Reshoots for more blood. When the first cut of Halloween 4 was screened, producers thought it was too tame. Audiences in the late 80s were used to slashers like Friday the 13th, drenched in gore, so the studio called in John Carl Buechler fresh from Friday the 13th. Part 7 to add bloodier kills. New effect shots were spliced in to raise the body count and the brutality. The changes worked. Michael's return suddenly felt nastier, darker, and more violent, but it also marked a shift. The franchise moved further away from suspense and closer to the shock value slashers it once inspired. Number 10. The shocking ending. The finale of Halloween 4 didn't just shock audiences, it split the film's identity in two. On paper, the script's ending was already bold. Little Jamie Lloyd, dressed in a clown costume, suddenly snapping and attacking her foster mother, echoing Michael's very first murder as a child. But director Dwight H. Little pushed the idea further. He saw Michael and Jamie as psychically connected, an evil bond where violence was Michael's only form of communication. That vision bled into the film's climax, where Dr. Loomis screams in terror as Jamie seems to inherit Michael's darkness. Originally, Alan McElroy's rushed script even toyed with different finales, but the version we got became one of the franchise's most chilling twists. The evil of the shape might not die, it might simply pass on to the next innocent fate. Halloween 4. The return of Michael Myers wasn't just a comeback. It was a messy gamble that brought the shape back into horror legend. A rushed script, a new mask, fake pumpkins, and a shocking finale all proved that Michael could never truly stay buried. Some fans see it as a forgotten chapter, overshadowed by the classics. But in many ways, it kept the franchise alive, pushing the story into new territory. Because if this film taught us anything, it's that evil doesn't die. It only waits for someone new to wear the mask.